What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another install video. Before I get any farther in this video, I want to say if you are new to my channel, be sure you hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I'd love to have you be part of this channel, be part of this community, because one thing I want to say, everybody in the comments, you guys are awesome. I always read the comments, even though sometimes I don't have time to answer them, but everyone's usually trying to help each other out with questions. So big shout out to you guys, because that's pretty much what I want. I want this channel to be a nice community for everyone, that if you have car questions, I can help you out, or everyone in the comments can help each other out. So hit subscribe, hit like if this video is going to help you out. So in this install video today, I'm actually going to be doing my whole new front brake setup. Kind of new. It's converting to base front calipers and base front rotors in order to fit my 13x8 Bellix. This is a process you have to go through if you want to run 13s on an Rsx Type S. Now if you have the base, obviously you can run 13s on it. So I'm going to show you guys the whole setup I have right now. It's probably the thumbnail. So in the last video, you guys saw me paint these calipers. I'll leave the link in the description. If you didn't see that video, go check that out. That's if you're interested in painting calipers the way I do it. This is the way I did it. It's a gloss red. No big deal. The rotors I'm running are, again, base. The calipers and the rotors, let me mention, are Stop Tech. They're not, I got them off Rock Auto, so they were pretty affordable, I have to say, for the caliper and rotor. They're not really AutoZone brand. They're not, oh no, I lied. They're not Stop Tech, Power Stop. I would have liked to gone with Stop Tech, but unfortunately funds are a little low, so these are Power Stop. I heard good reviews about them, so I'm okay with these. The brake pads I'm running are HPS brake pads. I'm running these because I do drive the car on the street sometimes, and after doing some research, I found that these are a good street and race pad. So that's why I went with those instead of I know the blue stuff is the really aggressive drag pad. That's not really good for street use, so I'm going with the HPS. Let me know if you have any experience with the HPS pads. That's what I'm going to be running. And then, because I am, in my mind, because I went to a smaller front brake setup, I wanted to make sure I had good pads, but I went to a stainless front line as well, just to give the brakes that extra more stopping power. So this is what we're going to be installing. Really shouldn't take that long. And now every time I say it shouldn't take that long, something happens. So some point during this video, I run into a problem. I'm not gonna edit it out like I usually do. I'm gonna let it run. It's because I tell myself I don't want to say it, and then I end up saying it in the video, so whatever. So let's just, if something happens, I'm gonna show you guys. I got everything already taken apart in the front. All right, I'm gonna explain to you how I'm gonna be doing this, all right? Because I wanna try to not lose as much brake fluid as I can. I'm going to be taking the caliper off without taking the line off. So I'm going to be swinging this over, and then what I'm going to do, oh, you guys need a light. All right, that's better. So what I'm going to be doing is swinging this whole caliper assembly over with the line and all, and then I'm going to come right here to where it connects to the other line that goes to the master cylinder. By the way, I deleted my ABS, so this is why I have this aftermarket line on here. So I'm not running ABS on the car, so this line goes directly to my master cylinder. And I bought this ABS delete kit from Encore DC5. It's what he used to call himself. I think he just calls himself Encore Automotive now on Instagram. I'll see if I can leave his Instagram down below. He's got his own shop now, so I bought these lines from him 2-3 years ago. I love them, they're great. So back to what I was saying is I'm gonna pull this clip off right here. And oh, I see my flashlight blinking. I think it's about to die. Pull this off, and then when I'm ready, crack this line off, unscrew it, and I'm gonna screw the new brake line and new caliper assembly. I don't know if you guys are following me what I'm saying. I'll explain it as I go along, but I'm gonna try to minimize as much brake fluid loss as I can. And so the way I can think of doing it is assembling the new caliper and brake line, already having this side assembled, all right? So that way it's sitting here, and when I take this line off, I'm going to right away install the new line, and that should minimize my brake loss, my fluid loss. So we'll see how it goes. Let me set you guys up and let's get started. Okay, so let me explain to you guys exactly what I meant, but I'm going to set this caliper up, get it all ready before I start taking that apart. So one quick note in case you guys aren't sure, if you ever get a new caliper and you're not sure what side it goes on, you always have to check where the bleeder screw is, all right? Bleeder screw is always going to be on top of any caliper because that's the best way to bleed the air. Air is always going to come up. All right, so let me get a little closer for you guys. All right, so this is my driver's side caliper. So on the RSX, you also have to, see the way it's oriented. On the RSX, the caliper is on the back of the wheel. Or not the back of the wheel, it's going towards the back of the car. In other cars, sometimes they have the caliper set up going, you know, towards the front. But in the RSX, it's facing towards going to the back of the car. And like I said, I know this is the driver's side because if this is the way the caliper is oriented, look, bleeder screws on top, this is driver's side. Now, if I was to put this on the passenger side, so if we're looking at the passenger side, it'd be like this, going towards the back of the car. That would be wrong because you see the bleeder screws on the bottom. So anytime you go to put a caliper on, make sure bleeder screw is always on top. That's the way it needs to go on that side of the car. All right, so now that we kind of explained that here, I'm going to use StopTech front brake lines. Here's your part number in case you guys are curious. I believe this works for Type S and base models. It's all the same for the front. Now I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter which side you use. Yeah, it doesn't look like it matters, and if it does matter, I'll let you guys know. Alright, but I'm glad that they also give you the bracket to mount it on your coilover right there. Then they give you new hardware, which is what I want. Right, so we don't need that anymore. Alright, just to be curious, I'm actually going to go look at the caliper right now on the car with these two lines because I see they are oriented differently. One's kind of going out that way, one's going this way. So just to be 100%, I want to make sure I'm going to put these on the right side because, yeah, they don't say anything. So let me look on the car and see if it matters or not. Alright, it doesn't look like it matters which side they go on, so we're just going to grab one. So we're going to take this little nipple out of the caliper. Alright, we're going to grab our first crush washer, which is this one right here. Set that in there. Now, one thing I have to say I'm not too crazy about is you'll see it on the old caliper, but on these lines there's no kind of nipple sticking up, so that way this can stick firmly and it won't rotate in the caliper here. So let me show you what I mean. On the caliper they give you these little notches, and that's for the brake line to have something that goes in there for when you're tightening it won't turn. Oh, you guys are not even seeing it, so it won't turn back and forth. See how my finger's kind of locked in there? And well, with this one, when I put this in, when I go to tighten it, it's just gonna, I mean, it'll hit, but it's, I guess like, oh, you know what? I guess I could stick the line like that. That's better. I'm gonna do it like that instead. So that way when I tighten it, it's not gonna be able to move anyway. So, grab our washer. We'll grab our line. I wanna run this, I'm gonna try down first. All right, then we get our new banjo bolt with another washer on that. So you want two washers, one on the outside and one on the inside. So what I could have probably done is put it through like that. Right? And then we'll start this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this snug for now because I'm not sure how I want to put this on the car yet. If maybe I might have to adjust this to go to, yeah, you know what, I think it's better if I go to the top because this still needs to wrap around. We're gonna try it on the top. Okay, so I like this setup better. This is how it's going to be on the car, and it's going to wrap, and then we can wrap this around and go right up to our coilover. Alright, so we're going to set this up. So now what I'm going to do, this is ready to go on the car. We could probably put our hardware on here, so like our little shims and whatever on the bracket. This is all ready to go on the car. So I'm going to set this bracket up, and then we're going to move it to the car. I'm going to take that off, and hopefully we don't lose that much brake fluid. you guys just pretty much saw the quick process on how to take your whole front brake setup apart. My wheel spacer was actually fighting me. I don't know if you guys saw it. I actually cut it because it took me about 5 minutes to actually get it off. I thought I actually put anti-seize on the back of it. I guess I never did because I just looked at it when I took it off. It doesn't seem like there's any anti-seize on it, so I'm gonna have to put that on before I put it back on. But this is a good chance to show you guys the size difference from a base rotor to a Type S rotor. Yeah, so look at that difference. Again, like I said, I'm not too happy about going this small, but it's what I have to do in order to run my Belix. These are aftermarket rotors, obviously, so maybe they are a little bit bigger because they're aftermarket. I don't remember if the stock ones were the same, but what I did notice is the rear rotors are the same size as these Power Stop front rotors. So I mean, it's just personal preference. I would love to have the bigger rotor in front. One, it looks cool. All right, let's not lie, it looks cooler, but it just, there's more surface area for the caliper to grab, but it's all right. So now I'm going to put the new rotor on. First thing I have to do is clean the new rotor with brake clean. So if you've ever done brakes and you're installing new rotors, you know you have to shoot brake clean all on the front surface and on the back surface, because usually rotors come with some oily film on them so they don't rust during transportation, shipping, whatever. So I'm gonna clean this. I'm gonna put it onto the spindle, and then I'm gonna set you guys up so I can show you how I'm gonna unloosen that or take off that brake line, because here's how it's sitting. Like I said, so I can kind of show you guys a little better. The caliper is just sitting. Here's the brake line, and it's still attached right there. So I'm going to shoot some probably PB Blaster. Well, actually no. What I'm going to do first is shoot PB Blaster in these threads and just crack this loose first. And then I'll shoot some PB Blaster down here so this can slide off. And then I'm going to make sure I have my new caliper already ready to go, sitting on a bucket or something with the new line. And so that way, once I loosen this up all the way, this line is going to drop. I'm going to grab the new line, put it in, and thread it on with 2 hands. So that's why I'm gonna have you guys set down somewhere, because I need to do this quick just so I don't lose that much brake fluid. And then we're just gonna do everything in reverse order. I'll swing the new caliper over and do all that. I'll have you guys set up so you can watch. I might speed through it, but that's my thought process. I'm gonna try it. If it doesn't work, when I go to do the other side, I'm just gonna have to loosen this up, let it drip. I don't know, we'll see. But this is how I plan on doing it, so let's see if it works. That's it. I'm done saying things are gonna go easy. I'm done saying that it should be quick, because I freaking called it. I told you, I called it. I was gonna run into an issue, and I had to stop myself because I said I would show you. And the issue is I'm going to put the caliper bracket on, and it's not fitting. I'm trying to figure out why, and it's hitting the dust shield that goes around the rotor. I already took out most of the shield, because when I put the rotor on, I saw it was bigger than the rotor by about 1/2 inch. So I figured that's gonna get in the way of when I put the rim on. But the remaining shield behind the wheel bearing hits the bracket. So let me show you. All right, set you guys up. So here's the rest of the shield that I'm pretty much cutting out. I mean, I would use a Dremel, but I don't really feel like it. I'm just using a punch, and I'm just kind of breaking through it. And so here, and then I'm just kind of bending it and snapping it out of the way. So now I gotta turn this, which I'm probably gonna have to do inside the car. Okay, so like I was trying to say, when I would try to put this on, it was hitting, which it looks like it clears now, but we got to really put the rotor on and see. So here's our rotor. Alright, run our screws in. Now, let's see if it fits. Okay, yeah, now it fits. So now we can put our bolts in. Because before I couldn't get it to start, and then that's when I noticed that it was hitting the rest of the dust shield. Alright, so that's basically what I'm going to do. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. Another thing you need to keep in mind when you are doing this conversion, you got to get rid of that dust shield. However you do it, if you want to pull the wheel bearing out or you just kind of want to hack it around, but you're going to have to hack really deep to pretty much where it's completely gone. And that's where I just kind of trimmed all of it off with a punch just to get in there and get it really close. So let me put this on, tighten this up. I'm going to put my my brake pads on. These are the Hawk HPS. I'm going to put these up in here, turn this out of the way, and then we're going to go right to that line. Alright, so we're about to try this whole little setup I got. So I got the line wrench. It's a 11 mil for this particular brake line. I'm not really sure if that's the size for a regular one, but that's what fits this top line. So the first thing I'm going to do is just crack it loose. Okay, that's it. Next, I'm going to take this clip off. How I usually do that, I do it one of two ways. I usually get a flathead, a big one, and just kind of pry it off. Okay, I don't know. And if I'm blocking you, I'm sorry guys, but I really got to see what I'm doing here. I'll adjust the light for you, see if that helps. Alright, it helps a little bit. So I already got this pretty much starting to come off. Alright, I got it pretty close, and I'll just come on the other side and I'll work this side off. And when I get to a certain point, I'll just get a pair of channel locks and I'll just pop it right off. Alright, so this is ready to go. I can kind of see it's leaking a little bit. I got my new line ready right here. Now, if you're not painting your calipers or anything, this is going to be a lot easier because your brake fluid won't eat your paint. But I don't want it to eat my paint. So here we go. Yeah, here it comes. Make sure you have a pan ready too. That's what these are sitting on. All you're going to do is unthread it and thread the new one on. So you can see how quick that was. That's how fast you want to be. Except you don't want your old line to drip on your new caliper. Damn it. Damn it. But I lost what? Like 2-3 drops? That is ideal. That works perfect. I'm doing that on the other side. If you are ever changing any kind of lines or something, do it that way because that worked great. So I'm going to get a rag and clean all this dirt off right here so that way I can slide the new clip on easier. Well, not the new one. Slide the original clip on easier. Alright, that should be fine. Now where'd that clip go? Alright, so we got the clip. You never tighten it until you get the clip on first. So we're gonna sneak this guy back up here. Start our new clip by hand as best as we can, which is not much. Alright, and then I usually just grab a hammer and hammer the rest of it on. It's a little tight, so I'll just grab my flathead and do the rest like that. Okay, clips on. Now we tighten the rest of this line up. Probably gonna have to hold the bottom line. It looks like it wants to spin. So, you know what? I got a better idea. Before I tighten this up, let me start running this to where it needs to go, because if I tighten this, I might not have any spin room, and it looks like they give you this to spin it around a little bit. So let me run that and then we'll get back. Alright, so I got this all tightened up. I have the caliper ran where it needs to go. That's all tight. The line is positioned right, so if you are doing this, position the line at the top of the caliper the way I had it like in the beginning of the video. The last thing I need to do is just tighten this onto my coilover, but You guys can see how tight the line gets over here. Oh crap. Take two. Yeah, this is tight over here, and the good thing, they just kind of made this adjustable. They have like just this little rubber grommet, so you can slide this and position it where you need to if you want to give it more slack like that. So now if I hold this here, you can see I have all this slack up here, so I'm just gonna position this to a good point, so that way it's not binding, it's got some slack. I might make it a little tighter so it doesn't touch the wheel. And that's it. We're gonna tighten this up, and this side is done. Here, let me give you guys a better look and move you back. And so you can see it's not binding, so it's good. So this is, once we tighten this up, this is going to be the same exact procedure on the opposite side. It's not like when I did my axles. I'll leave that down in the link in the description below if you want to see how to install some insane shafts. But this is the same exact procedure. We're going to first kind of assemble the caliper on the table, and then take the old stuff off, take the shield off. Don't forget, you have to cut this new shield off, or the dust shield. Cut that off, put your rotor on, and then do it like this, and then you have to bleed it. So I'm gonna find someone to help me bleed these, and then we'll close the video up. Alright guys, so pretty much I'm all done with the brakes. Passenger side is done. Everything's tightened up. I made a couple adjustments here and there. It was nothing major, and I'm getting ready to bleed them. I'm looking for kind of like a bleeder tool I made, quote unquote a tool. It's basically, it was like a soda bottle, and I drilled a hole on top with a clear tube, and that's what I would use to bleed brakes. I would just, that tube would go onto the bleeder screw, and just the fluid would just kind of go through the tube into the bottle, and it just made life so much easier. It wasn't a mess. It was so much easier. I don't know where it is. I have to make another one, so I figured I'd show you guys basically how I make it, and if you guys want to try it, go ahead. It works great. So basically, I just have a plain water bottle. I have one of these clear hoses. Now these usually come when you do like a master cylinder. Sometimes they supply you with these, and this is so you can bench bleed it. That's why it has those threads on it. But I'm gonna take that off, and then I have the right size drill bit to match that. So I'm just gonna drill a hole right on top, fill this with brake fluid. Now the key is to fill it with brake fluid first, because when you're bleeding, and let's say whoever's doing the pumping, when you have the bleeder screw open, they happen to come off the brake by accident, instead of sucking air, you're gonna actually suck brake fluid back into the caliper, so that way you're not gonna induce air back into the caliper. So it's kind of like a safety thing, to where you're not gonna throw air back in the system if you happen to pull up by accident with the bleeder screws open. It's another reason why I like doing it that way. So we're gonna fill this up. So I mean, you're gonna want a clear tube that's pretty much the length of the bottle, but I'm gonna keep it about there, so that's gonna be filled with brake fluid up to there, so that way I have enough to kind of hang over, and it's not like super tight like that. I just finished making up the bottle. Here's basically what it should look like. About halfway. You can fill it up a little more, but when you start bleeding it, it'll start filling up itself. So you just want to have a starting point, and then there's the way the straw. You can see I actually had to heat up the tip of that straw because it wasn't big enough to fit the bleeder screw. So just heat it up with a lighter, and then I kept kind of pushing it on and expanding it and let it cool off, and then it stayed into the shape I needed it to. Quick note, in case you've never bled your own brakes before, it's super simple. Just one of the biggest things, one of the biggest things is you don't want to keep letting air back into the system, and just keep an eye on your master cylinder. Make sure that it's constantly staying full, because as you're bleeding it, you're going to lose fluid, because it's escaping the caliper. So just keep an eye on that. So I'm gonna find a helper right now, someone that can get in there, bleed the brakes or pump the brakes, God. And then I'm gonna bleed it, and we should be good. Now you can start pumping the brakes right now. Does it feel like it's getting hard? Yeah. Okay, let me know when you can't pump it anymore. Is it going to the floor? Yeah. Okay, so there's air. All right. Hang on. All right, hold it down. Alright, pump it. Okay, hold it. Okay, pump it. There's a quick preview or a quick whatever it was of me bleeding the brakes. And I just showed you that one side when I was doing it. Obviously, when we were doing it, I could see some air, tiny bubbles popping out, but it wasn't that many. And my dad was the one pumping it, and he was telling me that the pedal wasn't really getting any better. So that's when I decided to go to the other side. And I didn't really film the other side because I wanted to see what was going on. And as soon as I cracked that bleeder screw open, I wish I had the camera on, you could have just seen the rush of air bubbles coming out through the tube, and right away I knew that's where all my air was. And soon enough, as soon as I let all that air out, close it up, and you started pumping it again, that's right away he told me the pedal's getting hard now. So that's pretty much what you're looking for when you're bleeding brakes. That's why you want to use a clear tube, or if you're not using a tube, when you crack it, you want to hear it and see it. If it's spitting, there's air coming out, but if it starts just as a stream coming out, there's no more air. So I did that about another 4 times. I did this side, and then I went back to this side just to make sure, and I opened it up, and there was just tiny air bubbles. Closed it, tried it again, it was clean. So I told him we're good. Felt the pedal, it's solid as a rock. I would take it out. I mean, I'm gonna make a separate video on how to bed in your new pads, because there is a bed in procedure every time you are doing any kind of aftermarket brake pad. Now I remember it was Nicole's TL. We bought aftermarket brakes for it, and it was kind of one of those nights. It was late at night, and I was kind of rushing through it, and again it was late, so she had to get home, and I didn't really bed them in. I just kind of pulled the car out, and I told her, "All right, you're done, you know, I'll see you later." And she didn't get no more than 10 feet, and she was telling me she'd step on the brake, and the brakes were making a loud thump noise, and it would like slip, and that was because I didn't bed the brakes in. So I took the car, I did some hard stops and slow stops, and I got them hot, let it cool down, and all that went away. So from then on, I told myself I'm never letting a car go without the market brakes until I bed them in. So that'll be a separate video, but unfortunately it's raining right now, and I got to do hard stops, so it's not going to really stop well. So I'm going to wait for a nicer day. I'm going to explain the whole process of how to bed in aftermarket brakes. So be on the lookout for that video. And I hope you guys pretty much enjoyed this video. This is just from start to finish what you need to do to your brakes if you want to run a size 13 on your RSX. This is the best guide I can give you guys. Pretty much what I ran into, you're probably going to run into if you have a Type S. So just go through this whole video. I hope I did a good job explaining everything for you guys to figure it out. And give me a big thumbs up if it did help you out, or if you just did enjoy the content, because I don't think there's a video out there showing you how to put 13s on your RSX. So I should be the first one. Let me know if I am. Again, thanks for watching, guys. Just make sure you're on the lookout. Make sure you hit subscribe. If you are new, hit that post notifications button so you guys are updated every time I upload a new video, because I want you guys to be updated when I upload new videos. Again, I know this is going around YouTube again. Some people aren't getting notified, so just hit that bell just to be safe so you know every time I'm uploading a new video. We're going to leave it at that, guys. Stay motivated. Keep making those streets louder, and I'll catch you on the next one.